Thank you very much, Jason, for the introduction. Jamie and actually, we did the first version of this in 2015, and so we were surprised that we did it 3 years ago. And back then, we were talking about this thing called the CRT coming and how we need to get our bylaws ready. And so now we're here 3 years later. CRT has made some significant changes, and so we look forward to updating you on that. So for those that attended that, it's going to be a little bit of a refresher. For those that didn't attend, it'll hopefully get you up to speed so we're all working on the same base level for bylaws. Then we're going to be talking about how to find the right bylaw for your strata corporation. We're going to be talking about bylaws all strata corporations to be looking at. Chances are you don't have these bylaws, but you should be looking at them. Then we're going to talk about some bylaws that you should consider. Some bylaws isn't a one fit for every strata corporation, so these are bylaws that you probably want to look at, but not necessarily, they might not be applicable. And then communicating bylaws to residents. That's the whole point, is that we're trying to shape behavior with a lot of the bylaw changes we make, and so how do we communicate that to the residents? So, going on. Strata governance and strata living are changing. As we know, the way that people live in condos is changing. We've got a lot of mixed-use buildings where we now have commercial and residential working together. We have a lot of affordable housing, so the government's a big proponent of affordable housing. So we have a lot of strata corporations that have either affordable housing in them or next to them, or they're sharing facilities with them. So there's a lot of changing in the way that we're living in this closer proximity. Bylaws need to be reviewed and updated on a regular basis. Jamie got a set of bylaws today, and they were the original bylaws, never been amended from
1979.
1979.
Wow.
Time to update those bylaws. And then the CRT, online dispute resolution. So if I'm sure council members, you're all familiar with it. But what it really did is it's lowered the barrier for homeowners to challenge decisions and challenge bylaws. It used to have to go to Supreme Court for a lot of things, and so no one's really going to spend $30,000 to lawyer up to go there. But now the CRT, a couple $100, you can get there, right? And so you need to really make sure that your bylaws are applicable. A lot of the bylaw reviews we're seeing, there's duplicate bylaws, so when it goes to the CRT, it's quite easy to say, which one are we referencing here, right? Or there's they don't correspond with what the sections that they reference, so it's really a good time to update those bylaws with the CRT. And again, if the strata corporation bylaws are incorrect, you're not going to win. You're going to lose in the CRT. So that owner that did something, that you sent them warning letters, you spoke to them, the caretaker spoke to them, and they still were breaking that bylaw, and you finally had to levy them a fine. Isn't it terrible when they go to the CRT and you lose? You know, that's the worst thing ever. So you want to have some strong bylaws for sure. And then recent decisions. We're going to talk about this. Really changed a lot of the bylaws that we had used in the past. Okay, so this is the refresher. So for those of you, this might be a review. Some of you, this is going to be new information. Why have them? Section 119, 1 of the Act says that every strata corporation must have some bylaws. What are they? Bylaws are aimed at regulating conduct, use, activities, behavior within your strata corporation, within your strata community. 119.2 provides a general overview of what the bylaws can provide for. Section 120 of the Act, in the absence of the filed bylaws, you use the standard bylaws, which are the set of bylaws that most new communities are built off of, and then there's different pieces added by the developer. And then different from the rules. So sometimes there's confusion on what's the difference between a rule and a bylaw. So bylaws, and we're going to talk about this, are voted on by the ownership, and they're a 3/4 vote usually, and they're much more stoic, and they're going to be registered with Land Titles Office. The rules are going to be created by council. Council could meet tonight, and they could create a new rule, and usually that's to do with common property. Typically, we see it to be used with the amenity. So if the amenity pool used to close at midnight, and the Strata Council feels that now it should close at 11, and it's a rule, not a bylaw, they can say at that council meeting, they can pass that new rule, and it takes effect. And then at the next AGM, if there's been new rules, and there's a vote held by the owners, and it's a majority vote, just to ratify those rules and say, yes, we're going to move forward with those rules from now on. But again, the first council meeting following that AGM, Strata Council can come up with some new rules. Okay, so we're not going to talk about rules today. Rules are a great tool that strata corporations and strata councils should really look at using, but we're going to be talking about the meatier subject, which is the bylaw.